I learned something about basketball every week of my life.
Yes.
Okay. And like you just said, and you know, MIG, like for example, the MIG defender, right? That's such a beautiful way to explain to a player that just because you're the low man on the weak side on his pick and roll, we're designating you as you're the most important guy.
Yes.
And now the guy who's off the ball thinking he's not doing anything, I'm making you feel really important. And that's the essence of coaching, is to simplify it. So your slowest learner, who might be your best defender, says, hey, coach thinks I'm the most important guy. It's the ultimate, that's the essence of coaching.
Welcome to another Coaching You podcast with the coach, presented by Noah Basketball, who had 7 of the 8 teams in the Elite 8 and now has all 4 Final Four teams use Noah Basketball to develop better shooters. So if it works for them and all of the NBA teams, why not put it into your high school or college program? Call our friends. Just mention that Zach or Brendan told you to call, and I'm telling you, they will hook your team up instantly with Noah Basketball at an amazing price. Trust me, John Carter, the founder, he loves ball as much as I do. If you're at the Final Four, go see them. But call 1-888-TRY-NOAH. Tell them that you want the system installed in your gym so that your kids can get better. That's 1-888-879-6624. And make sure you get it installed in your gym ASAP so that in the off season, your kids can get better. Tell me, I give you great coaching tips. This might be the best one you had all year. Remember, we're in the final week of our March Madness special at Coaching You. To get our Coaching You Plus app, which is a worldwide leader in learning, go to coachingyouplus.com. And when you sign up for our app, make sure you use the promo code MADNESS20 at checkout. MADNESS20, coachingyouplus.com. 20% off, annual or monthly subscription. Take advantage of it. Become a better coach today. After this quick timeout, come back and you are going to get the treat of your week. Fran Fraschilla, the voice of ESPN college basketball and the Big 12 expert for 23 years, who sleeps in Allen Fieldhouse during the season half the time, will come in and give you his tips on the whole NCAA tournament and some X and O's on why teams are doing well. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. See you on the other side. Noah Basketball is our new presenting sponsor of our Coaching You podcast. Noah Basketball is a shot tracking and data company that has helped change how coaches and players perfect the game's most important skill, shooting. Noah is a data service provider that uses machine learning and the latest computer vision technology to provide real-time data and feedback to improve shooting accuracy and consistency for professional and amateur basketball players. Noah has now analyzed over 570 million shots from countless high school, hundreds of college teams, and 28 NBA franchises. The technology is simply amazing. Once the system has been installed, players will be able to get immediate feedback on their shooting arc, left and right positioning, depth, makes or misses, and makes the data available to players and coaches on your mobile device. For more information about how Noah can help your team, visit noahbasketball.com. Only appropriate coming into this weekend for the Final Four that we have truly the master of basketball knowledge, college basketball, my dear friend, Fran Fraschilla. How are you, Fran?
Coach, I'm great. You and I were talking off the air about the joy of what we do. We've been in basketball forever, and just watching kids celebrate, commiserating with the losing coaches, because we've been there also.
Yeah.
You know, we got one more week of this, incredible college basketball this season. And then you and I will focus on the NBA playoffs. I mean, I have
Yes.
not followed a lot of NBA basketball in the last month because of my college basketball diving into everything. But no, great to be with you. Great to catch up and great to talk about what might be coming up this next weekend in Indianapolis and also what's just happened.
I think one of the things for those of our listeners and coaches around the world that don't know about Fran was a fabulous college coach. She's like me, he's a New Yorker. Um, and like me, also, we got the hell out of New York at appropriate times in our lives and so that there was actually a world outside. But
Yeah.
now you have been covering the Big 12 since Dr. Naismith
Yeah.
and Fog Allen invented the game and at Kansas. You sleep in Allen Fieldhouse half the year. Uh, I think this year it was the best league in the country, and there were a lot of good leagues.
Yeah.
You're talk about the Big 12
Well,
first as we
first of
get
all,
going.
if it weren't for Dr. Naismith, you and I would have had to get real jobs.
I
Okay.
know, and that
So,
world would be really in bad
yeah.
shape then.
I always appreciate Dr. Naismith, a Canadian who invented the game
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Springfield, Massachusetts. The top of the league was incredible. The difference between the Big 12 5 years ago and now is there's 16 teams because of realignment. So the bottom of the league, the Alex Jensen's at Utah. Unfortunately, Bobby Hurley is leaving Arizona State, and they hired a great coach in Randy Bennett. The bottom of the league will get stronger, but the top of the league was incredible and really unfortunate that the league suffered some key injuries late in the year. I mean, JT Toppin, in my mind, I would have had Boozer 1, Toppin 2 as the National Player of the Year candidates. And JT was just absolutely dominating again this year in the league. He gets hurt in mid-February. Richie Saunders, who I think would have been certainly a draft pick and is going to play in the league eventually at BYU, gets hurt out for the year. Joshua Jefferson, another All-American,
Wow.
he gets hurt last week, so he doesn't play against Michigan, and they're not the same team. Or Tennessee, I should say. They
Tennessee,
lost to
right?
Tennessee, and my former boss, Rick Barnes. So the top of the league in mid-February looked like it was as good as it's ever been, and then some injuries happened. But give him credit. The league was really strong. Houston was really good. Not a vintage Houston team because they played two young players in Sanak and Flemings. And as Kelvin always said, and you know this, Brendan, because you lived that life, those two young men at 19 are not going to reach their potential till they're 25.
Yes.
So Kelvin had to work those guys into the lineup. Great kids. I always said about those two young men, if you choose to play for Kelvin Sampson when you could have gone anywhere else in the country, you're basically joining the basketball equivalent of Navy SEALs. Okay.
Good
Because
call.
you're going to get yelled at more than a Paris Island drill instructor. And at the end of the day, those two kids are going to make way more money on June 24th than they would have with NIL.
Sure.
And so they were a young team. And then Arizona, I want to talk about at length with you because Tommy Lloyd had a phenomenal team, an old school team. And I'm going to shut up and let you ask me questions, but that Arizona team is special.
Yeah, no, I thought, one of the things, March Madness, arguably the greatest sporting event we have in our country, 3 weeks. I feel like we've gone through 2 weeks, but I can't even remember what happened on week 1 now.
Right, right.
It seems like it was so long ago,
Yeah,
but the 3 weeks that it goes through, it is so orchestrated. But I'm telling you, the one thing that I have regrets for, it has nothing to do with, it's just a business now, is that ESPN does the best job of covering college basketball throughout the year.
yeah,
We have other great media partners at Fox and NBC and Peacock and
of course.
this SEC networks and the Big Ten network, and then CBS, TNT, TBS come in during the playoffs. But from a fan perspective, some of the very best analysts in the business we don't get to see, you
Yeah,
included, of course, that really know the teams inside out. And that's business. Okay, I get it. So
yeah.
you were doing a lot of radio for Westwood One and different people during the thing. So give me some of your thoughts of what you saw in the first 2 rounds, if we can remember back
Yeah,
2
yeah,
weeks,
yeah.
to that. I thought it was really good, but we almost have forgotten about that, how Texas had to have a play-in game,
That's right.
instead of
Well, here's
and
what
Will
I
Wade
think.
was actually the coach of NC State then.
Amazing.
Now he's
Well,
down now he's down around the corner
only in
from
the
me right now.
only in the modern era of college basketball with NIL could our friend Will Wade, who once coached at Harvard University for
Yes, he
Tommy
did.
Amaker. That's hard to understand. But
Yes.
and my son Matt says he's the spiritual successor to Will Wade at Harvard. I don't know what that means, but and I think it's mostly good because I'm a
I
fan. But with when I'll just mention Will real quickly,
Sure.
the things that were not legal a few years ago are now legal. NIL, now it's legal. And he's back home where he's comfortable, and you're going to see him a lot living in Baton Rouge. But anyway, let's talk about the first couple weeks. I actually think that because of the transfer portal, which I hope gets closed at some point, like one transfer up or down, don't sit out, and then after that you have to sit. Okay, jumping around year to year, that's just no good. I mean, what alumni game or weekend do you go back to in 20 years if you're a kid that went to 4 schools, right? But having said that, I think, Brendan, we don't see as many Cinderellas as we may have a few years ago because a lot of the low and mid-major teams that are pretty good in a given year lose a kid that goes up to the power conferences. But what I think it's done, and that's I lament that fact. I was once a Cinderella at Manhattan, but
Right.
when you get to the Sweet 16, I honestly think you have the best basketball because as good as High Point was, you don't want to see them playing Arizona in the round of 16 and then they're down 20 at the half.
Right.
Not to say that there's not an occasional Cinderella that can go deep, but I think what you have now the last 2 years is a lot of the top seeded teams are seeing each other in the round of 16. And I just think that makes for the basketball purist incredible basketball. My region in the South last weekend was Houston, Illinois, an Iowa team that upset Florida, and a very good Illinois team. Compelling matchups. You had the Final Four coaches in the East region with Izzo and Hurley and Shire and can't even remember who the 4 team was, but it was a great team. And so that's what
Patino.
I think we have right now,
Patino.
and I think that's great for the basketball purists like us, honestly.
Yeah, I think the East Regional, as you mentioned, was a Final Four, and I think
Uh-huh.
Coach K said that, he said, "This is a Final Four. We'd
Correct.
be thrilled with St. John's and Duke and all
St.
that team."
John's, Patino.
Yeah.
How could I forget Patino?
Yeah, you better
Yeah.
not. They'll take
Yeah,
away
no.
you'll
The
take away
best team
your
they've
they'll take
it's
away your Italian card.
listen, it's the best team. It's the best team they've had since I left them, an Elite Eight team, when Father Harrington unceremoniously dumped me because I interviewed with Kevin White at Arizona State. So I've been back to St. John's many times since
I thought
then.
we had confession to take care of little mistakes we make in the
Well,
church.
George Blaney said it best: the longer you work at a Catholic school, the less likely you are to believe in God. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But George is wiser than the two of us. He said it. But in point of fact, I have absolutely no bitterness because my life changed dramatically when I went to TV and I got to watch my boys grow up. But I have to say, let's give Rick Pitino his kudos here.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino could take your team and beat his, and take his team and beat yours.
Beat yours.
Right?
He's a master coach.
He's a
He
he's a
absolutely
master,
is.
and so that was an incredible regional as well.
So, Ben McCallum has been a fan of
Oh,
coaching you for years.
oh,
We've had him on twice when he was at Northwest Missouri State.
how about that?
Okay, we found him early. We invited him to Shy's clinic at Florida, as you remember, years
I do,
ago.
I do.
And I remember we had him on a podcast, and he couldn't, and he was very frustrated, and he said, "Coach, I need your help." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, every time I interview for a Division I job, I can't get a smell." I said,
Yeah.
They know my record." And I said, "What do you think the problem is?" He said, "Well, they always tell my agent that I don't interview well." He said, I thought you were hiring me to coach, not to interview.
Exactly. Win the press
And,
conference. They want you to win the press conference.
He can flat out coach.
Yeah, I got to tell you, in the South this weekend, I was expecting Florida. I was already writing my TV notes on Florida last week,
Sure.
not expecting Iowa to beat them. But when they beat Florida, and last weekend, knowing I was going to the South Regional, I could call a Houston game in my sleep, because of my
Sure.
my relationship and connection to Kelvin and his players and staff. But I had to dive into 3 Big Ten teams, and Freddie Hoiberg, man, what a team he
Tremendous.
had, right? But the offensive acumen of the 3 Big Ten teams, as I studied them for 72 hours, in my own mind, Brendan, I went to a coaching clinic on video. And so when I got to Houston on Tuesday or Wednesday and got to watch all 3 teams practice, mesmerized by Ben McCollum and Freddie Hoiberg, who I know well, close friend, and Brad Underwood, also a good friend. And all 3 of those guys, in their unique way, are offensive savants. They really are.
Yes.
They see the game at a different level than most of us. And I got to tell you, Ben did an incredible job. And by the way, if you study them, if they keep all the young guys they have 2 soft freshmen who are going to be tremendous, possibly All-American type players who were not highly recruited. I just love the job he's done. And then Freddie's an offensive savant, and Brad Underwood recruiting the European kids,
Brilliant.
to our friend Orlando Antigua.
Love him.
And the one thing I'll add about the European kids, because you and I have seen the impact they've had on the NBA, is their agent, who I know, Mishko Rasnatovic, who represents Jokic and many others in the league. 5 years ago, there is no way he would have sent kids to college basketball because he has a market on the Baltic kids. But when NIL opened up, he's making more now. And by the way, if those kids don't play in the NBA, and they're good players, they're making more at Illinois right now than some of them might ever make in their European careers when they go back.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I mean, It's
Absolutely.
crazy. But they know the game so well because, as you know, from coaching kids from Europe, they're just so well schooled at 14, 15, 16, 17, kind of the way our American kids were at one time, not to disparage them because we still have the best players in the world, but we do it differently now with athleticism and AAU ball and playing against great competition. But in the old days with the coaches you were around in your great career, that these European guys, can I just say one thing quickly? And I don't want to bore you, but I think you'll like this. I might have said it on a previous podcast. Everybody thinks that the dream team with the great Chuck Daly, your mentor, was the reason for the explosion. And I say no. I take it back to the 60s and 70s when Chuck, Dr. Jack, UB Brown, another mentor, Dean Smith, those guys were invited to go to Europe to speak at the coaching clinics, the federations, and those guys taught the game to our European friends, and now they teach it back to us.
So when Chuck and I, gosh, trying to remember exactly, but I remember one year, we got eliminated in the playoffs, and UB was supposed to go to Greece, to
Right.
Salonika, Greece, to teach. Jack Ramsey, Jimmy Lynam, and we were all going over to do a clinic for the NBA. They were sending us over. UB said he was doing TNT. He couldn't go.
Right.
And he calls me up and says, and I love him. He's my high school coach. So he said, hey,
Come on.
Hey, you need to go over there, okay?
Yeah.
I can't go. I'm doing TV, okay?
Yeah.
It's only for 4 or 5 days, okay? All right, you got to do this. Got it? Got it, coach.
Yes,
like I'm still I'm the sophomore in high school for him still. Yes, sir. I'll be there. So there's Jack Ramsey at 1 a.m. dancing on a table in Greece, throwing glasses on the ground, breaking them with Kim Bohuni and everything. 950 coaches are in Salonika, Greece to learn from us.
Yes.
Fast forward when we named Chuck the coach of the Dream Team, he and I go over to Malaga, Spain.
Yeah.
1,200 coaches. And at that point, Chuck introduces his favorite basketball coaching drill, which
Horns.
the drill was, he called it the hedge drill.
Yes.
And we had to do this every day in practice with the bad boys.
Yes.
2 high posts at the angle of the horn screen now. There was
Yep.
no such thing as a horns play.
Right.
And,
You told me this.
Isaiah would come off of either postman. We would teach the guy to hedge, and the other postman would catch the guy rolling to the thing. And so we would do this drill every day. And your guy from Brooklyn, Vinny Johnson, is coming off that play, and he is destroying everyone every day. And as Vinny would say in this wonderful Brooklyn verbiage, yo, Chuck, yo, Chuck, we should make this a play.
Yeah.
And Chuck goes, what do you mean make it a play? There's 3 guys. He said, just put 2 fucking shooters in the corner. And he said, and he said, and I'll take care of the rest.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So we do it. And no one had seen it. And we called it the V play.
Sure.
Because of the alignment.
Yes.
Point, 2 posts, and the guys in the corner. And that was our V offense. So we go and we teach it in 1990, summer 1990. We go over there, do a clinic. We show the V offense. They now run it. Now, no one in the NBA wanted to copy V, so they always took our play and they called it now horns.
Right.
Horns was another play we ran.
Yeah.
Our motion play, they called it floppy. So the NBA guys would never call what we called it.
Right.
But when we went over, now if you go to anywhere in Europe, they've taken the V offense and they've made it 10 times better than what we had.
Yeah.
10 times better.
Well,
they're so imaginative, and that's how the essence of coaching happens.
See, it's funny you say that because I've been in both Saloniki. You probably were with my friend Ted Rodopoulos, the old coach. Yes.
I introduced Zach to him at the Final Four last year.
And he'll be
50
there
years
again.
we're friends.
I just saw Pager because his son played for Illinois, and he told me Ted's health is
very bad when I last saw him.
Yeah,
yes.
And the other thing was I went to Spain with Ubi one year. But the whole point of this is not to talk about how great of coaches they are, because they are, but they take our game and they see it in a different way and they figure out how to make it better. And then it comes back to the NBA and college, which is what I love about our game is, like I always say, and you know this because you've lived it, the basketball globe has shrunk and no longer do we have ownership of all the smartest ideas because we taught them those things. And now we see it influenced on our NBA and college game, which is the beauty of the game.
So our Coaching U Plus app, which we have the best clinics anywhere in the country, and our incredible event we do at our flagship event in Vegas with NBA coaches.
Let me interrupt you for a second. How did Ettore Messina get his start in coaching? Yeah, Ettore is one of the greatest coaches in the world. You have him on Coaching U. It's always amazing. Do you know the story behind his start?
Not his start.
All right, here you go. He was a driver for Dean Smith at the Italian coaches clinics when he was 21 years old. Go ahead.
See,
go ahead.
So how's that for a tidbit?
About that,
Messina. Yes.
A week with Dean Smith, driving him around. How smart would you get?
How good is that? Huh? and it's about having that growth mindset that Ettore has to this day.
That's right.
And we'll be speaking again this year for the 9th year.
I love it.
And one of the things we found that when Zach designed this app a couple of years ago, we knew that we were having trouble teaching the game to people that could only come to a clinic. And Zach came up with this idea.
Yes.
The subscribers that we have now are in 100+ countries, and most of our subscribers are from outside the U.S.
Yes. Yeah.
The game is so global now.
Yeah.
And the learning is more so. And that's why we keep telling our coaches in the States, the high school and the college guys, you cannot believe how many Division I coaches
Yeah.
do not subscribe.
I'm going to give you an analogy. I hope you think this makes sense.
Sure.
If we all went to the Louvre in Paris, which I've been lucky enough the last couple of years to go see the Mona Lisa, right? The American coaches stand in front of the Mona Lisa and we go, masterpiece. Okay. Our European friends are off to the side. They have a different perspective on the masterpiece, but it's still a masterpiece. To me, that's the game of basketball. They have a different perspective on the same game we love, and they figure out how to make the masterpiece even a little bit better. So, if you're an American coach and you're not diving into coaching you or any of these coaching clinics that you can get to go to here to European coaches, you and I both know you're missing out because they're brilliant, brilliant tacticians over there.
Tyler Underwood, who you
Oh,
saw at Shy's clinic, he
yeah,
29 years old,
yeah,
offensive coordinator. He's so brilliant. And when we talked to him at Shy's clinic, he came up to me and said, "Thanks, coach."
yes,
And it's the
yes,
first time I'd met him in person, known
yeah,
Brad for years,
yeah,
uh, uh, you know, in OA for years. And he goes, "I've been a subscriber and a fan of
yeah,
your app since the beginning."
yeah,
And and I love that whole coaching staff of
yeah,
what they've done.
yeah,
You know, they keep reinventing themselves. The idea of
yeah,
going out and getting the players from there,
yeah,
changing their style of play to fit their talent. You know, that is the essence of this game.
yeah.
So when we get to this games yesterday, let's talk
Let's
about
go. Let's go.
the 2 games that we saw. Well, actually, let's go through the the final 8 Elite 8
Yeah,
teams on
yeah,
both sides.
yeah.
So on Saturday, tell me what you saw on Saturday with the Iowa,
Well, you know what?
game,
Iowa,
Illinois.
if that was a prize fight, okay, and Illinois was the heavyweight champ and Iowa was coming as the underdog, they got to the 13th round
Mm,
and it was toe to toe, blow for blow. Yeah, Illinois maybe ahead on points a little bit in terms of a boxing match, but then the last 2 rounds, Illinois really imposed their will. Ben McCollum's great phrase. This is kind of summarizes his program all through his career at Northwest, Drake, and now here is impose your will. And I thought they did because they controlled the tempo. You
yep,
know, people say they play slow, but it's by design. They don't want to take the first quick shot if it's going to give Illinois a chance to run out. So they would prefer a 60 possession game than an 80 possession game.
sure.
And when you have a brilliant point guard like Bennett Sturts, he can impose his will most nights. It was just too much to ask him to do it for 40 minutes against an Illinois team that has that depth, size, strength. And Keaton Wagler, wow, someone said he's not athletic. And I watched him in person, Brendan, and I said, he's as athletic as Steve Nash, but he's 6'6". That's how I
That's a
see
great
him.
analogy.
Yeah, and then I love what Tommy Lloyd did after the game. We heard that he walked into the locker room down 8 at the half, and without yelling, he said, "Fellas, the coaches and I are going to step outside, and you got 5 minutes to talk amongst yourselves as to what you're going to do in the second half." And that's total ownership. He's given his team ownership of, look, I
Exactly.
can't give you any X and O's here. You got to go out and play 20 minutes the way we played all year. So that was brilliant.
Yep,
And then I thought Tennessee just didn't have enough firepower
yep.
for a great Michigan team that we know has been great all year. Dusty is another one of those incredible coaches on his way up the ladder. And then the final game, that's heart and will. I'm a Shire fan. I love John. I
Me
love his
too.
coaching. Um, and these things happen in life. Coach Smith, Dean Smith, what? He didn't win a championship for at least 15 years. It took Coach K 11 or 12. But when you talk about UConn and a guy that you and I have known since he was a baby or a kid,
Literally, baby. Yep.
literally, right? We've been around Coach Hurley and his boys. That was just, the heart of the champion. And they were just a little bit tougher in the key moments than Duke was. And that's how it worked out.
I thought Danny's team yesterday, when he needed a bucket, he does as good a job as anyone
Yeah.
in college coaching as far
Yeah.
as being able he has designed stuff to run to get his best player shots, which
Yeah.
has always been my way of coaching that I learned from Chuck.
That's right.
And, and the 5-out game that we see now leaves it's almost like Knight's motion offense back in the
That's right.
day.
Yep.
There were guys that would get open, but they weren't the guys you wanted to get open because,
That's right.
you know,
That's right. Like
Isaiah
Chris.
used to tell me that motion shit was good until it got to the guy that was a good screener and couldn't shoot, you
I
know?
know. I know. Well, I always say this, and this is coaching now because this is kind of a coaching podcast. But
Yeah,
the thing about it is, like, unless you really study, there was a reason Coach Knight ran motion better than anybody, and very few people could replicate it.
right.
And the same thing with 5-out right now. You're running 5-out, but your 5-man can't even execute a dribble handoff. What are we doing here? Okay.
Yes.
And then when I was a young coach at Manhattan, you'll like this. Everybody in America was running the Kansas break of
Yes.
Roy Williams, right?
Except
And
you were the
so,
6'4" center.
right. But here's what I did that summer before I became a head coach. I went up to every single guy in the Kansas family tree. Kevin
Wow.
Stallings, the late Neil Doherty, Matt Doherty, whoever it was that worked for Coach Williams, and I said, I need some nuggets, okay? Because everybody in America is running Kansas break, but nobody's running it like KU. And I
Right.
stole about 18 things that they did. Sealing the big guy up the lane early at the foul line almost, to keep his man from, getting to the pass over the top, throwing the cross court pass side to side before you back screen, which nobody was doing. And so my point is, it's all nice to watch a tape and say, I want to run 5-out. But unless you know the nuances and you study it, it's almost like a chef in a kitchen. I got tomato sauce here. I got the macaroni. I got the ground beef. Why are my meatballs not tasting so good? And that's the essence of coaching, is knowing the little things that make it better.
Yeah. So when you see, the cats, I like that. I'm gonna
You
the
can
chef's.
steal it.
We do
I
the chef's clinic. I like
I
that.
stole it from somebody.
I don't, so when you're now broadcasting a game
Yeah,
throughout the year,
yeah,
and because you have this, you're you offer this amazing perspective, having been a coach and coached in big games.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
all of a sudden, and you go to practices and you go as a coach. So if they
yes,
say, "Hey, we're going to twist a pick and roll at the top,"
right,
you know exactly what they're talking
yeah,
about,
yes,
and or you can even suggest when you're watching, say, "Why don't you twist the pick
yeah,
and roll at the top?"
yeah.
Or and so when you see that and stuff, you're able to describe it better. What are the things that you think college coaches now do well, and what would you like to see them do better? Not the
Well,
guys in the tournament, as much as
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
general thing
Well, first of all, I think,
on a technical
yeah,
standpoint.
yeah, yeah, I get it. I think first of all, when I teach on TV, I'm always,
Yes,
and I say this very complimentary. Some of my best players were my slowest learners. Okay, they were, and it's just how it is. And so
sure.
I might, like the great Rick Majerus, when I would listen to him on TV, like he was saying things that flew over even my head, right? And I was like, well, in TV, I'm explaining the game to people that want to learn but don't know what I or
Sure.
and so. But when I was coaching, I had to make sure that my slowest learning guys understood what I meant by fill and sink on the baseline. Okay. We're filling and sinking. And I remember I had a great player. I won't mention his name, but I'm still very close to him. And he played a long time in the NBA. And we came back from a game, and I said to him, listen, when the guy gets beat on the wing, you have to rotate over to outside the lane and stop him. And he said to me, but what about my man underneath on the other side? I said, well, that's what we call helping the helper. You help and someone will help you. And he looked at me and he said, oh, okay, I got it. But my point is, I had to explain that to him because he was worried about his man. Okay, now this is early in his career. I want you to understand that after a
Sure.
while, it became great. But so I think one thing that I'm feeling good about is there's more pick and roll being taught better than 5 or 7 years ago because there's more nuances that are trickling down to college and high school from the NBA and before that, our European friends. And I would say one thing that I've learned over the last 10 years of studying my great European friends is being able to attack all five defenders in pick and roll. Okay. We talk about a tag man, and there's always a tag man from the weak side who's helping on the roll because the big guy on the screen is helping on the ball. And so now when I watch Tyrese Halliburton in college as a freshman throw a cross court hook pass to his teammate in the opposite corner, or a jump pass that UB probably would have never allowed 50 years ago. Don't
Hey,
leave your
stay on
feet.
your effing feet, all right?
Right, exactly. We now know that the game has evolved to the point where, in order to destroy the tag help, you
Yep.
have to manipulate those defenders, even with eye contact. Like when Chris Paul comes off a screen, and I think he might be the best ever in pick and roll, with all due respect to
Sure.
Nash and Stockton. But Chris could look at the corner man, and the tagger would leave the lane and then throw the lob, or
Yes.
look at the lobber with his eyes and throw the pass to the corner. So I think that's one area, and I know you do it all the time at the Coaching U clinics, where you bring in these fabulous NBA coaches to teach pick and roll at another level, because we only thought in the past it was just the screener and the roller, when we know now that the defense plays 5-on-5 versus the pick and roll, and the offense has to destroy the defensive help. That's one example.
And now the terminology has really changed over the years of coaching.
Yeah.
Where now the tag man, now a lot of NBA teams, and your son's an NBA coach, they now use terminology. Some teams use captain,
Yeah.
but most NBA teams use the term MIG,
Most
M-I-G.
important. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Most important guy.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, whoo. And
Yeah.
and I remember Roy Williams, not name dropping, Roy and I did a clinic in the Bahamas. This was when he was back at Carolina.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours was doing the clinic, and it was fabulous. We're at this primo at the Atlantis Hotel, and we're doing it for the government.
Yeah.
And Roy and I are there, and there's 6 people at the clinic.
How many?
6.
Oh.
6.
Oh.
6.
I know.
And Roy
I've been
said,
to some clinics like that. I know.
Roy had just won the national championship and everything, and I had just come back from, and I had done the dream team and everything, and a couple of and Roy said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to. Why don't we introduce you people?"
I know. Yeah.
But Roy taught me something that day. He did the clinic like he was speaking to 1,000.
Yes. Yes.
It's like
Yes.
act like everyone out there is the only time they were going to hear you. And he said, the most important thing when I teach pick and roll is to say, when I'm defending it, is who's the most dangerous person between the dribbler and the screener.
Right. Right.
And at that time I was a genius of pick and roll in my mind.
Yeah.
And I said, shit, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
If Kevin Durant's setting the screen, he's more dangerous than the guard coming off on a pick and pop.
Yeah. No. Oh, man.
And I said, man, it changed the way I do coverages now because of that little tip.
You know what, Brendan? I say this, and this is something important for coaches to listen to. I learned something about basketball every week of my life.
Yes.
Okay. And like you just said, MIG, like, for example, the MIG defender, right?
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful way to explain to a player that just because you're the low man on the weak side on his pick and roll, we're designating you as you're the most important guy.
Yes.
And now the guy who's off the ball thinking he's not doing anything, I'm making you feel really important. And that's the essence of coaching, is to simplify it. So your slowest learner, who might be your best defender, says, hey, coach thinks I'm the most important guy. It's the ultimate.
I see.
That's the essence of coaching.
That is so brilliant there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when we have these young people, men and women, and you and I both love the women's game,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we love Gino Auriemma,
Yeah.
and I love the way he teaches, and I love for years since I've known him. He says, you got to understand, I've got great guys on my team, and I
Yeah.
said, no, he calls his girls guys,
I know. Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
the way he is.
Yeah.
But as Phil Martelli Sr. told us last year at Shi's clinic, Gino's the same guy as when he was my assistant coach in high school
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the men's side. Same guy.
Yeah.
But he has
And
this.
most of our friends are the same guys, by the way.
Yes.
Most of our coaching friends who are successful, the Jay Wrights, the Tom Izzos, the Dinos. That's what I love about being around some of those guys, like late in the year when we know how good of coaches they are, but they haven't changed from the guys that we knew for the last 30 plus years.
So when we're going into the finals now,
Yes.
and again, you look at these matchups. I don't understand. And we in the NCAA, and I'm not picking on the NCAA,
Yeah.
but I would almost love a reseed right now. We got the two best teams playing in the semifinals.
Yep.
Michigan, Arizona. My opinion.
I agree.
My opinion.
I agree.
Okay. And Illinois, if they won the thing, would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. No question.
Okay.
They're a problem because of their. You know what? The thing about Illinois is their starting point guard is 6'6", and everybody's taller.
Yes. He looked small. Keaton looked small compared to the rest of the guys. That's how big.
Yeah.
And by the way, we talked about Peja Sajakovic. His son, Andre.
Woof.
I mean, the thing that got me, the way he guarded Bennett Sturts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great point.
I thought that kid showed – I had not bought into the point that he's an NBA player.
Yes. Yeah.
And now I called one of the GMs I'm really close with the other day, and I said, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
Yes.
He's an NBA defender, which means now he's an NBA player.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? The only thing he's missing is a consistent jump shot.
I know that.
How insane is that? We
know that's going to come.
Yeah, and he's not happy being the sixth man. I think Brad would even tell you that because he got hurt and they took him out. Now they got a glue guy, Jake Davis, starting, right? But obviously, Andre's one of the three best players. You notice, and I said it on the air, he plays like a Vinnie Johnson type. Like the minute he touches the ball, he's trying to score. And you cannot guard him in college anyway. You cannot guard him going to the basket. He is he's gonna foul two guys out every game because of how aggressive he is.
He can really finish with his left hand and stuff like that.
And he is to your point, he probably did as good a job as you could do on Keaton Wagler. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I said,
Sturts. I'm sorry, Sturts.
Sturts. Yeah. I said to the team, I said, Peja wishes he could have guarded as good as his son did.
I know. No.
But I love that coaching staff.
Yes.
I love Danny Hurley.
Yes.
And his staff.
Yep.
So I mean, that to me is a prize fight.
Yep.
And then Tommy Lloyd and I have never met.
Oh man.
But I followed him from day one at Gonzaga.
Yeah. Yes.
I think he's one of the best all-around guys in college basketball.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
And the thing about him, and he's thoughtful. He's him very well.
Yeah.
I'm watching on TV only, soft-spoken, and he's thoughtful and everything. And I thought post-game his comment about the great Lute Olson, who is a friend of ours, both of us.
Yes.
Was so beautifully done, and then saying, and also he showed props to Sean Miller, and said,
yeah, coach,
and there's going to be someone after me when I'm done. Your job is to leave this place good.
Yeah.
And he said, see, he's going to North Carolina. And I said, my God, no, please don't say that.
I don't think he is. But I'll say this.
No, he's just paying respect to the position.
It's another coach. It's another nugget for your coaches on the podcast. Coaching etiquette 101. If you replace somebody who's had success, you praise them. Okay. Every day of the week. And if you take over for some program that was down, say nothing. And if you can say something nice, say something nice. And
Yes.
oftentimes you don't because it was a bad program or whatever. But when I went to Manhattan College, I replaced Steve Lapis. He left me 4 starters. I went to the NCAA tournament my first year the next year, and people said, what a great coaching job I did. And I said, wait a minute. Steve Lapis left me a great team. And so that's what you do. And then years later, it's just coaching etiquette 101. I try to tell people that.
We put Lapis on TV. Okay, that's basic.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson, though.
Yes,
etiquette.
yes.
You're right.
Every day of the week.
You're right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So tell me, and you're breaking it down.
Yeah.
Michigan, Arizona.
Yeah.
Maybe the most powerful offensive teams all year, maybe?
Right. Well, at the top with Illinois for sure, and Purdue. But I think these two teams they're better on both sides of the ball. They both have great size. They both want to, what I love about Tommy Lloyd, this is a little nugget for you. I'm on the rules committee, and I said to him during the season, I don't have a vote, but I'm a member. I get to chime in a little. And and somebody I said to Tommy, what about 4 corners? He goes, I don't want 4 corners. He goes, I want the other team in the bonus. I want to get in the bonus at the 10-minute mark and then pound it inside the last 10 minutes a half. Whereas most of us want 4 quarters, FIBA, NBA. He's thinking it's like, I got 3 monsters inside that we want to really just pound it in there. And obviously Michigan can do the same thing with their size. I think this game comes down to, and again, we're all geniuses until the game starts. But I think it comes down to like fast break points off turnovers, those kind of things, because they're both going to be really good in the half court unless somebody makes a few more mistakes than the other guy. Like, there's that stat now, kill shots, 10-0 runs. Arizona's given up only 2 kill shots the entire year. Wow. And one was to Norfolk State when they were up 50. They only won by 40. In the final 2 minutes, they gave up, probably with the walk-ons in. And
sure,
but they've got like 40 kill shots and have only given up 2. And Michigan's similar, like they've only given up 3. So like if there's a 10-0 run in this game by one team or another, that team's going to probably win 70% of the time. So I think the transition baskets, the points off the mistakes, could be a key because they're both going to be really good in the half court, and that means it's going to be a slugfest.
What do you think on the Illinois Connecticut thing? The guy I think that's been one of the, I'll give it a 10 top players in the tournament is the center for UConn, Terrace.
I knew you were coming.
Reed.
I knew you were coming.
Man, oh man.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. As you were winding up into your thought, I was like, Terrace Reed. Well, where he's really effective now is he can get those Illinois guys in foul trouble.
Exactly.
Because he's basically a guy that's going to draw 7 fouls a game on you, on the opponent. So that's a big factor. And I think Danny's going to see that. And one of the reasons, as you know, Brendan, to get guys out of the game is because you don't want to play them on the other end, on the offensive end.
Exactly.
And so I think that's going to be a key factor for UConn. Man, I can't forecast this. Both games could go either way. I don't know.
I can't pick a winner at all. No, and nor would I. Let's talk about projecting for NBA.
Okay.
Koa Pete.
Yeah,
you're feeling on him. Well,
what's your opinion? Give me your opinion. I'll give you mine.
Yeah. Well, I look at him. He plays so big, but is he 6'8"?
Yeah, he's 6'8", no taller.
Okay.
No taller.
So I look at him now, even though the NBA is trying to be bigger, I think the way he can jump and finish.
Yes.
I think he can be incredibly powerful in the NBA.
Yeah.
Whereas we have so many guys that at that size that all they want to do is launch threes.
Yes.
This guy will be a guy that can attack the basket and get people in foul trouble. And he's powerful dunker, which is no one tries to block your dunk when you dunk that hard in the NBA.
Yeah.
You break your
hand. Especially in January on a back-to-back.
Ain't no one coming for that one.
They're looking to get on the charter and get out of there.
I think Burris is absolutely fabulous prospect.
Yeah.
I
do
think
too.
in 2 years, he's something special.
Yes.
Really special.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray-ish type
Yes.
of
Yeah.
guy,
Exactly.
body type.
Yep.
Uh, I didn't appreciate the point guard till the Big
Yep.
12 tournament because I didn't get to see him.
Yeah.
Man, and now I'm convinced he's a guy on a roster in the
Yeah.
NBA.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I want him on my team.
Yep. All right. So here
He
you go.
seems
Here you go. You're on the money with me anyway. You know, Koa Pete, if he goes, let's say he drops to 15, 18, whatever, he's going to a playoff team, right? Where they value winning already. He's a kid that won 4 state titles.
Jeez.
He's the most decorated USA basketball junior player ever, 4 gold medals. He's helped get a team to the Final Four. He reminds me a little bit of Aaron Gordon, who, you know, people were worried about the same thing with the skill level, whatever. And as you know, Brendan, when you got the 19th pick in the draft and your team just won 49 games, and you can add a kid like this to your rotation, maybe he's not a starter right away, if ever, who knows, but he's a winner. And the character thing in the interviews is going to be off the charts. So
Great call.
he's
Great
going to be
call.
in the league for 12 years, you know. And then
What
what's that?
What part of Phoenix? What part of Arizona is he
He's
from?
a Phoenix
Is he
kid, Gilbert High School.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Phoenix kid. And by the way, he's got a family of NFL players. His father was a longtime NFL lineman for the New Orleans Saints. His brother's about to retire. That's probably news. Maybe he's not going to retire, but 12 years in the NFL. He started at tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a football family, and if you know anything about Samoans, they're tough people. You know,
love it.
Let alone that he's a great kid and an incredible kid. So the background, you and Chuck
I love it.
And Yubi would have loved this kid because you're not going to be worried about the guy like Yubi used to worry about John Drew. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, look that up, folks. Look that up on Google.
Hey, yeah. You know, the thing about Billy Donovan. Interesting. I remember when Al Horford and Joakim Noah and Corey Brewer were all on that championship team.
Yeah.
And the draft was coming up, and I think only Corey Brewer averaged more than 10 points a game.
Right.
And I think Al Horford averaged 9, and he ended up being the 3rd pick in the draft.
Yes.
And I remember when all the teams were calling, they said, "What do you think of Al Horford?"
Yeah.
And Billy said, "He affects winning."
Yes. Yeah. Whatever happened to Al? Whatever happened to him?
You know what? I heard he's going to retire after like 18, 19 years in the league, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, let me tell you about Jaden Bradley. Okay. He's one of my all-time favorites. You know, and again, I talk to my man Gordy Chiesa all the time.
Oh,
I talk to guys like you. And what I've learned through the years from my NBA friends is that the backup point guard or the third point guard is so critical to your team.
Yes.
Because like Jaden Bradley, I think I've talked him not into the first round, but I remember Jamal Shed 2 years ago, and all my NBA friends, they would say, "What do you think?"
Can't play, did that?
Yeah, too small, 6'1", and now he's just finishing his 2nd year, and he's going to be in the league 12 years as a backup. And I remember saying, like a Houston fan would say, "You don't think you could be a starter?" I go, "Well, he's going to play 12 years and make $60 million. Is that okay for backup?" and so Jaden Bradley is that guy. And remember, Jalen Brunson was drafted 34th as a backup, even though he was a consensus National Player of the Year. And so Bradley's playing in the league for 12 years. He affects winning. Incredible guy, tough, hard-nosed, great team leader. He's a given. And then Krivas,
I love him
because of the way Steven Adams and Valanciunas and now Zach Edey and the teams value maybe more so than 5 years ago having a mountain man in there. That's kind of cycling back. He'll be in the league, and then Braden Burries is Jamal Murray. To your point,
Krivas, what year is he?
He's a redshirt sophomore.
He should stay another year because he could really be valuable.
I thought if he came back next year, he'll be an All-American. The problem is if you play this well, as you know, and get to the Final Four, and your agent says to you, I know you love Tucson. I know you want to stay. I know you love your teammates. But
we'll get you a condo in Tucson when you're in the NBA.
But the Cleveland Cavaliers have the 22nd pick, and they've told me you're not sliding past them. Now the kid has that decision, right? You know that.
Got it.
And so we'll see. We'll see, because he loves Tucson. And could he come back another year and be better next year? Yes. But he broke his foot last year.
Oh.
So what happens if he breaks his foot again? So, I mean, his value is really high right now.
The inside stuff, as we like to say.
Yes.
Talk about UConn's pro prospects. Everyone was enamored with Mullins' kid. I think he's had an okay year.
Right.
Just okay.
Yeah, injuries.
Didn't meet the hype, so to speak. Had a bad game yesterday until the purest shot I've seen in years.
Yeah.
Right? My goodness. And they're talking late lottery for him.
I thought Tyler Hero should have came back to college for year 2. I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then the other thing about, let's just take Braylon Mullins for a second. And by the way, I did the draft for 12 years. And then
I know that
my friend Woj came, it's fine, and brought, his guys. And so anyway, but that's okay. I talked to like half the teams in the league anyway. But here's the thing about Braylon Mullins. We're Greenfield, Indiana, okay? So if the kid from Greenfield, the baseball player, is throwing 97 and he signs with Clemson to go to college next year, and the Milwaukee Brewers take him with the 4th pick in the baseball draft, he ain't going to Clemson. So in other words, he's a guy that you're going to take based on the projection, right? And the projection of what he's like at 23, 24, where maybe he's maybe Luke Kennard or better, maybe Tyler Hero. I'm using the stereotype white kid, but it could be anybody.
Yeah, I know. And we have a tendency to do that. How about this one for a lookalike?
Yeah. But
looks like Doug Collins at the same age.
Can you imagine that? You people look up Doug Collins, folks. Okay.
Yeah. He used to be a coach. He used to be a pretty damn good player.
Yeah.
Check out 72 Olympics.
Mark Jones and I used to play reverse stereotype, because I would say to him on a broadcast, I'll tell you, Connaughton's one of the best athletes in the country right now. You know what I mean? And then I would say, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is such a high IQ player, which, by the way, is true. Okay, it is true. So I love the reverses. But the point with Braden Mullins is that he might not have had the great year because of injuries. He was out for a while. But you're looking at the long-term projection, which I could see. I could see. Terrace Reed's making a roster because of who he is. Backup big man. Alex Caravan could be Jaime Jaquez. He's going to make a roster. So you got guys here that are going to play in the league. And because of the winning and Brendan, you noticed there's 18 spots now. When you coached, there was 12.
12.
And there was no T League. You were signing guys off the CBA. You were calling Eric Musselman to see who he had up in Sioux Falls. You know what I mean? That could maybe be the 12th man because we had some injuries. It's a different deal now. There's a lot of guys can play in the NBA that
I'm going to throw out one guy to you that I've been intrigued with his body, Solo Ball.
There you go. But Solo's, you know what I say about Solo Ball? At worst, he's going to be averaging 18 in the G League.
Right.
And he's probably going to get a 2-way deal.
That's what I say. He's a 2-way player, which is really good.
Well, and then he gets a 2-way. He's averaging 18. Yeah.
I mean, I love that Illinois team.
Ooh.
So many guys.
Yeah, Wagler for sure. Someone's going to take a chance on the starting big man, Aviciis, because he's a step away from the basket type guy. I draft him in the 2nd round somewhere. I'm trying to think of who else they have. They have, Mirkovic is kind of weird because he might be their 2nd best player as a freshman. He's only 6'10", but he's so skilled. And again, Mike, here's the deal. He's got a great agent, and his agent knows everybody in the NBA. And if you can get a team in the early 2nd, if he's got a promise in the early 2nd, and you're going to get like 3 years at $6 million guaranteed for a 2nd round pick, Do you do that, or do you go back to school?
And he puts him in Denver next to Jokic,
Exactly.
or someplace where he's going to be.
Where he's going to be, he's going to be nurtured. Yeah. So that's how it works. You know it better than me.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you're going there now to do the NIT to Indy. Okay. Yeah. You're jumping on a flight tomorrow to go there. Tell me about the 4 teams there and the way you approach the NIT. It's not like when you and I coached in the NIT. Yeah. We loved the NIT. And man, if you ever got to Madison Square Garden, boy, the Mecca, it was the ultimate thing. It was a really cool tournament. Yeah. Now it's just totally changed. Yeah. But how do you approach it as a New York guy with the NIT? How do you approach it?
Well, I don't know if it was the Holiday Festival or the NIT, but there was one year with Mark Young. Well, maybe it was before Mark Young. Danny Odom. You coached some of these guys, I think, at Fairfield, right?
All of them.
Joey
DeSantis.
Yeah. I mean, was that the NIT and the Holiday Festival those years that you guys went?
Yeah. Well, we went. We were NCAA tournament, NIT. We both went to Holiday Festival.
It was amazing to go to the Garden, and I loved it for many years. I've done the NIT. That we used to go to New York, and now it's different. It's expensive to go to rent the Garden out, but Hinkle Fieldhouse is phenomenal. This year they've moved the NIT semis and finals. They've kept it in Hinkle in conjunction with the Final Four. So we're doing Thursday night with Auburn. New Mexico, my old school that I coached at, Tulsa, who's won the NIT twice with Buzz Peterson and Nolan Richardson, and then our friend Ryan Peden coaching at Illinois State. They're ecstatic to be 2 hours from home, going to Hinkle. And I told you this off the air, you could put me on any game if you're paying me, and I'm bringing joy to the game. And I mean that honestly. Yeah. I'll do it for free. No, don't tell ESPN that. I do it for free, but don't tell them that. But I'm going to bring joy to the game, no matter what. And these 4 teams are going to be celebrated because they still are playing in April. It's probably the first time in the history of 3 of the programs besides Auburn that these teams are playing in April. And so we're celebrating them. We're celebrating the joy of the game. Hinkle Fieldhouse, Hoosier, home of Hoosiers. Jimmy Chitwood. Bennett Sturts is Jimmy Chitwood, by the way. He was, what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
By the way, that's another stereotype. Sorry. Can't help it. White kid from Kansas City, who plays an awful like Keaton Wagler, by the way, just so people want to know. Anyway,
another white kid from Kansas City.
Well, kind of mixed race, I think.
Yes.
I don't even know. Who cares? I don't even know.
I told one GM the other day I'd draft him just to see his mama. I'll tell you what.
By the way, Mom, who I never met, took a picture with me after the game, and she said to me, "We're big KU fans. We wanted him to be recruited by KU." How about that? I took a nice. She's a very, very nice lady.
She's really great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah. Great family.
And I love the kid. I love the kid and everything like that. Those are the surprises of college ball when you see a kid.
We love it.
That just out of nowhere gets 46 points against Purdue.
I know.
And all of a sudden, all the NBA scouts all became fans of his.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, don't get me started on the mock drafts because who was it had a good the kid from Virginia Tech from Greece, Avdamos. He has this great game against Providence. And then he's in the lottery the next week. And I'm like, no, don't do this to these kids. Because by January 1st, there's 90 guys in the mock draft first round. And there's only 30 spots. Don't do this to these kids. And now he's going to transfer.
And
so don't do that to these kids. Wait for Keaton Wagler to do it like 20 times by February 1st and then put him in the lottery. But anyway, the whole point of the NIT this week is celebrate the game, celebrate the stories. Illinois State, for example, Chase Walker, their big man, 2-time All-Missouri Valley. He's down to 6'10", 280. He was 405 pounds as a high school sophomore. And then Brian Peden signed him when he was 370, and now he's a svelte 280 and a Kenny Lofton type of big man who just dominates the paint. because of that girth, like a Tobe Awaka. So those are the stories we celebrate because you and I love the game, and I love to talk about the kids that do come out of nowhere and make their mark on their team and college basketball.
Fran, I'm telling you, we're so lucky. I thank everything that how great of friends we've been over the years, but I love the way you just share, and everything
Yeah.
is about helping coaches, helping the game. You love the game, you love players, you love coaches, and we're so thankful every year you share with us, and we thank you, brother. You're amazing. Have a great week in India.
Thanks.
I know your wife's going because she loves that trip. She
Family
knows more
business.
coaches
We
than
got
you do.
we,
She knows more coaches than you do.
She does. We got a family business. I didn't start that way, but
Isn't that amazing?
yeah.
That's what happens when you send your kid to Harvard and try to educate him, and all
That
of a sudden,
idiot should be he should be at Goldman Sachs, that idiot. And making money, taking care of me. I always said to my boys, buy me a condo in Colorado when you make it big. I had to buy the damn condo in Colorado Springs, and they're still grinding away. But wouldn't have it any other way, Brendan. You and I, we know about all the coaching families that we you mentioned Tyler Underwood, a great young coach, and it's amazing how many coaches have kids who saw their dad, fired or not, had a great life and want to do this. And so I'm blessed. But hey, I'm blessed with our friendship. And
thank you.
I'll see if I don't see you sooner, I'll see you this summer at the summer league. And
We'll see you at the Summer League and also at the Shia Clinic,
of
which will
course,
be August 1920
yep,
in beautiful University of North Carolina, Charlotte.
I know it.
Where college coaches, and pro coaches can come and learn from our incredible array of talent. We have some amazing people, as you're helpful in helping us get people every year. It's our 20 or 21st year
Amazing.
of it. We thank Shai for what he does for the game too. He's one of our brothers too.
No, I mean, I hear from him like every 2 weeks. Like, what about this guy? What about that guy speaking? And by the way, our good friend Wes Miller, who I love, he's a good human being, close to getting it done in Cincinnati, back at Charlotte, former Carolina guy. He'll do a great job. I'm excited that he's going to be part of the clinic now that they're going to host.
Shai, we talked this morning before we came on the air, and he has accepted. He is our first speaker that we're having that time. So it's going to be awesome. Wes will do a great job. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate you, and have a great time at the Final Four in Indy.